Iziko's archaeology unit and the University of Cape Town have had a long-standing relationship over many, many decades. The archaeology unit is directly linked to the Human Evolution Research Institute, or HERI, based in the archaeology and geology departments at UCT, where we're trying to reframe how we tell the story of archaeology to include everybody. So we're looking at targeting inclusivity, making sure that archaeology is not only viewed through a colonial lens.
We study the deep past of human beings in Africa, and we study human evolution in all of its facets. So from a geological point of view, from a biological anthropology point of view, of course from an archaeological one as well, and also understanding what the world was like that our distant relatives lived in.
Yeah, and this is really important because people evolved in Africa. We have a very deep history in Africa for millions of years of our fossil ancestors who tell us a lot about who we are. And we don't have written records back that far back in time, and so we actually have to examine different aspects of the past to understand what was going on.
If we don't understand what's come before and we don't understand our resources, how do we move forward in the way that can allow us to best position our nation, our people, our resources for the best for all of us?
Iziko is a repository for materials. It's a repository for example, some fossil remains, some other remains that are there, archaeological materials, and many, many things that are relevant to us. But our relationship with Iziko is stronger than that because Iziko is also an educational institution. It's an institution that has an immediate connection with the public. It's an institution that has a very strong social responsiveness component to it. And so for HERI, that relationship is essential because it allows us as academics to have access to the general public, to communicate with the general public, to do socially responsive work, to do educational work, which is really the way that science should be going in the future.
We were able to use our collections to trace through ages how men have been interacting and also the impact that we've had with each other through migration. We've sort of learned that a majority of us, if not all of us, are migrants. And if you look at the question of xenophobia, we've also established that a number of South Africans, in fact, are migrants from elsewhere. And that has also enabled us to understand each other better and to say to broader communities out there, all of us come from the same families.
Our history is a mirror into our future. And putting those two things together makes the museum such an important thing in South African society.
We have initiated this institute where we try and foster and build relationships with each other, with a host of international and continental researchers, curators, collaborators, and ultimately students, in the hopes of diversifying the discipline, introducing these disciplines to Black women specifically, and that's our goal at HERI.
We have a very close relationship with HERI. I personally have found it quite fruitful because there's a back and forth of ideas and actually a critique of each other's ideas.
And we also want to improve access to archaeology as the field. We want to see more Black women in the paleosciences, in archaeology, yes, and make it more accessible in that way.
It's about growing capacity in South Africa. It's about growing young researchers, young South African researchers, young African researchers, young Black researchers, young women, to really thrive in this kind of a context. And I don't think we could do it well without our partnership that we have with Iziko.
One of the things we're talking about more and more is how do we train? How do we train students together? And what programs do we need? Where are the real needs in South Africa and in Africa around work which is heritage-based, natural resources-based, which brings groupings like Iziko and UCT together? And I think that's what we'll see develop into the future, beyond what we're already doing, is this kind of training of the next generation to be able to expand what we're already doing.
It is our hope that students, researchers, and the public experience the museum as a space to rethink long-held narratives about ourselves, where we've come from, our relationships with the environment, our impact on the natural world, and even our place in the universe.